Which Duggars are pregnant? The Counting On family is experiencing a baby boom. The former TLC stars are definitely living up to their reality show's name. The Duggar family rose to fame thanks to their TLC show 19 Kids and Counting and its spin-off Counting On. Today, many of Michelle and Jim Bob's adult children have started families of their own. But what Duggars are pregnant currently? In late 2024 and early 2025, several members of the family have either announced a birth or a pregnancy. It's practically a Duggar baby boom. Fans of the former reality stars might find it difficult to keep track of who is still expecting, considering most of the siblings are now married. Let's take a closer look at what Duggars are pregnant as of writing. In October 2024, Jinger, Duggar, Wulo revealed that she and her husband, Jeremy Wulo, were expecting their third child. They currently share 2 daughters, Felicity and Evangeline. "We're super excited," she told People in an article published on October 15. "We planned to get family pictures to announce the pregnancy and thought that would be the best time to let our girls know about their new sibling on the way," Jinger shared. "We got Felicity and Evangeline each a denim jacket with the words, Bige SIS on the back." The photographer captured the sweet moment when they realized what those words meant. Jinger's due date with baby No. 3 is in late March 2025. Jeremiah Duggar and his wife, Hannah Wisman Duggar, are expecting baby No. 3. In December 2024, they announced the big news via Instagram. They currently share 2 daughters, Brenly, 2, and Brielle, 1. "Life with our little girls has been wonderful, and we are so excited about adding a third little girl to this group late next spring," she captioned the update. On March 7, Jessa Duggar Seawald announced that she was pregnant with her and her husband Ben Seawald's 6th child. "Halfway to holding you in our arms," she wrote on Instagram alongside a photo of her holding sonogram images. Currently, Jessa and Ben share 3 sons, Spurgeon, Henry, and George, and 2 daughters, Ivy and Fern. As of writing, Jana Duggar and her husband, Stephen Wisman, have not announced they are expecting a baby. The couple tied the knot on August 15, 2024. Abby Burnett Duggar, the wife of John David Duggar, has not publicly announced a pregnancy. Since marrying in 2018, they have welcomed a daughter, Grace, and a son, Charlie. Jill Duggar Dillard has not recently announced that she is expecting a baby with her husband, Derrick Dillard. Currently, they share 3 sons, Israel, Samuel, and Freddie. In April 2024, Jill revealed she suffered a miscarriage at 4 months pregnant. No, Joy Anna Duggar Forsyth has not publicly shared that she is pregnant. She and her husband, Austin Forsyth, have been married since 2017 and currently have 3 children, Gideon, Evelyn, and Gunnar. As of writing, Kendra Caldwell Duggar has not publicly announced that she is expecting a baby with her husband, Joseph Duggar. They married in 2017 and have welcomed 3 children, a son, Garrett, and 2 daughters, Addison and Brooklyn. They reportedly welcomed another son, but have not publicly confirmed the news. Lauren Swanson Duggar and Josie Duggar are not active on social media and have not recently announced a pregnancy. After marrying in 2018, they welcomed a daughter, Bella, in November 2019. They reportedly welcomed a second daughter in 2022, followed by a son, but have not publicly confirmed the births. No, Katie Nakatsu Duggar and her husband, Jed Duggar, are not currently expecting a baby. They welcomed twin girls, Elsie and Emma, in January 2025. Katie and Jed, who have been married since 2021, also share a son, Truett, almost 3, and a daughter, Nora, almost 2. Jason Duggar married Maddie Grace in October 2024. They have not announced a pregnancy. Claire Spivey Duggar and her husband, Justin Duggar, have not publicly announced they are expecting. They married in February 2021. Currently, 3 members of the Duggar family have publicly announced that they are pregnant: Jessa, Jinger, and Hannah Duggar. Katie and Jed Duggar have only recently become parents to twin girls, their 3rd and 4th children, but are they already planning to continue expanding their family? During an Instagram Q&A, Katie opened up about whether she's hoping to have more children, and let's just say that she might end up outpacing mother-in-law Michelle Duggar when it comes to how many kids she'll have. Though the Q&A has since expired on her Instagram stories, one critic on Reddit managed to capture a screenshot. When a fan asked her if she and Jed thought they were done having children now that their twins are here, Katie replied, "Neither of us feel done quite yet, but we'll see." Jed and Katie now have 4 children: Truett, Nora, and newborns Elsie and Emma. Truett and Nora are just 13 months apart in age. Now that they have 4 children under the age of 3, users on Reddit have a lot of opinions about what Katie and Jed's plans should look like. One person simply wrote, "Not surprised. I just hope they wait several years before trying again." Others are convinced this means Jed and Katie are going to try to have as many children as possible like Michelle did, with one commenter writing, "Mark my words, by the end of summer 2025, Katie will be pregnant again. I get the feeling that Jed and Katie will end up with 15 children, and he will be the Duggar child with the most children." In early January, Elsie Kate and Emma Kate made their way into the world, and so far, Katie has been sharing regular updates on how her twins are growing. So far, it seems like she's been thriving as a mom of 4, though she has admitted that she's been getting plenty of help from her family along the way, especially during this period of having newborns to care for. Earlier this month, Jessa announced that she's pregnant with her 6th child and is already 20 weeks along. Meanwhile, Hannah and Jeremiah are expecting their 3rd, meaning that by summer, they'll be parents to 3 under 3 themselves. Who will end up having the most kids? At this point, it's too soon to tell, but there's no doubt Jim Bob and Michelle will hit that 40 grandchildren milestone sooner rather than later. Jill Duggar Dillard, growing up in this environment, meant adhering strictly to a set of religious doctrines that her parents deemed essential for spiritual purity and salvation. This framework was not just about personal belief, but also about maintaining an image of piety and moral superiority to the outside world. As such, any deviation from these stringent rules was seen not merely as disobedience, but as a direct affront to their faith and family values. This rigid adherence to religious principles created a pervasive atmosphere of control within the household. Every action, choice, and thought had to align with the family's interpretation of Christian teachings, leaving little room for individual expression or autonomy. The pressure to conform was immense, as stepping out of line could lead to severe consequences, including familial estrangement or being labeled as unfaithful or worldly. Thus, from a young age, Jill learned that compliance was not optional but mandatory, shaping her understanding of faith as something that dictated her existence rather than enriched it. For Jill Duggar Dillard, obedience wasn't merely a virtue, it was a survival mechanism. From childhood, she internalized the idea that questioning authority, whether parental or divine, was tantamount to rebellion against God himself. Her parents' strict interpretation of Scripture left no room for dissent. Disobedience equaled sin, and sin equaled eternal consequences. This equation loomed over her every decision, instilling a deep-seated fear of making mistakes or straying from the prescribed path. Even minor missteps, like wearing clothing deemed too revealing or expressing an interest in something not explicitly sanctioned by her family, were framed as moral failings. Each error became a referendum on her worthiness, a reminder that she was perpetually at risk of falling short of divine expectations. This constant scrutiny fostered a paralyzing perfectionism. Jill lived in a state of hypervigilance, meticulously monitoring her actions and thoughts to ensure they aligned with her family's rigid standards. Over time, this relentless pursuit of flawlessness eroded her self-esteem. She began to see herself through the lens of her failures rather than her strengths, leading to a pervasive sense of inadequacy. The message she absorbed was clear: love and acceptance were conditional, contingent upon unwavering compliance. Any deviation from the norm risked not only disappointing her earthly family, but also alienating herself from God. This toxic blend of guilt and fear left Jill trapped in a cycle of self-doubt, where her identity became inextricably tied to her ability, or inability, to meet impossible standards. As Jill Duggar Dillard grew older, the suffocating nature of her upbringing became increasingly unbearable. Her dreams, once vibrant and full of potential, were systematically stifled under the weight of familial expectations. Every aspiration she harbored, whether it was pursuing higher education, exploring career paths outside the home, or even forming friendships without stringent oversight, was met with resistance. Her family viewed these desires not as natural expressions of individuality, but as threats to the sanctity of their controlled environment. This suppression extended into her social life, where interactions were heavily monitored and curated to fit within the narrow confines of what was deemed appropriate. Relationships outside the immediate circle were discouraged, further isolating Jill and reinforcing the idea that her primary role was within the family unit, adhering strictly to its doctrines. The culmination of these restrictions reached a peak during her transition into adulthood, particularly concerning marriage and motherhood. In the Duggar household, these milestones were not just life events, but benchmarks of success and piety. Jill faced immense pressure to marry early and start a family, mirroring the paths of her siblings. This expectation stripped away her agency, reducing her personal choices to mere extensions of her family's will. The lack of autonomy in these critical life decisions left Jill feeling like a spectator in her own life, watching as her future was predetermined by forces beyond her control. Each step towards independence was fraught with guilt and fear, manipulated by the ever-present specter of familial disapproval and divine retribution. This profound loss of personal freedom underscored the extent to which her family's weaponization of faith had infiltrated every facet of her existence. Jill Duggar Dillard's decision to break free from her family's control was neither sudden nor easy. It was a process marked by years of quiet rebellion, internal conflict, and gradual emotional distancing. At first, her resistance took subtle forms, small acts of defiance, like choosing clothes slightly outside the approved wardrobe or spending time with friends her family disapproved of. These seemingly minor choices were significant victories in a life shackled by rigid rules. However, the real turning point came when Jill began to question the very foundation of her upbringing. She started seeking answers beyond the walls of her home, engaging with perspectives that challenged her ingrained beliefs. Books, podcasts, and conversations with outsiders exposed her to new ideas about faith, freedom, and self-worth. Slowly, she began to realize that much of what she had accepted as immutable truth was, in fact, a carefully constructed narrative designed to keep her compliant. This awakening ignited a desire for greater autonomy, but the path forward was fraught with obstacles. Every step toward independence was met with resistance from her family, who viewed her growing independence as betrayal. Emotional manipulation became a frequent tactic. They reminded her of her responsibilities as a daughter and sister, invoking guilt and fear to pull her back into line. Yet, despite the pressure, Jill persisted. She sought solace in supportive communities, both online and offline, where she found others who had escaped similar environments. These connections provided her with validation and encouragement, helping her to rebuild her shattered confidence. Over time, Jill learned to prioritize her needs and desires over the demands of her family, ultimately reclaiming her life from the grip of their oppressive doctrine. As Jill Duggar Dillard distanced herself from her family's influence, she embarked on a transformative journey to redefine her relationship with faith. No longer confined by the rigid doctrines of her upbringing, she began exploring spirituality on her own terms, seeking authenticity over conformity. This process involved shedding the layers of fear and guilt that had long overshadowed her connection with God. Instead of viewing faith as a set of unyielding rules, Jill embraced it as a source of personal empowerment. She discovered interpretations of Christianity that emphasized grace, compassion, and individual discernment, allowing her to cultivate a more meaningful and liberating relationship with her beliefs. By untethering her spirituality from external control, Jill found a renewed sense of purpose, one rooted in self-discovery and inner peace. Her evolving perspective on faith also highlighted the dangers of using religion as a tool for domination. Reflecting on her past, Jill recognized how her family's teachings had manipulated her emotions, exploiting her vulnerability to maintain power. This realization deepened her commitment to fostering open dialogue about the harms of weaponized faith. She became an advocate for those trapped in similar environments, urging them to critically examine the narratives imposed upon them. Through her advocacy, Jill emphasizes the importance of separating genuine faith from coercive practices. True spirituality, she argues, should uplift and inspire, not suppress or confine. By sharing her story, Jill hopes to empower others to reclaim their autonomy while preserving the parts of their faith that bring them joy and fulfillment. Jill Duggar Dillard's journey is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the transformative power of reclaiming one's identity. Her experiences serve as a beacon of hope for those navigating similar struggles, offering a roadmap for breaking free from environments where faith has been weaponized. Jill's story underscores the importance of critical thinking and self-awareness, encouraging individuals to question the narratives they've inherited and seek truths that resonate with their authentic selves. She reminds us that true faith should never demand silence or submission. Instead, it should foster growth, connection, and liberation. For anyone still bound by the chains of manipulation disguised as piety, Jill's voice is a call to action, a reminder that while the journey may be difficult, freedom and healing are within reach. The sun was setting over the horizon, casting a warm golden glow across the sandy expanse of a quiet beach. Waves lapped gently at the shoreline, their rhythmic motion creating an almost meditative soundtrack to the day's events. It wasn't just any ordinary evening, it was a rare moment captured in time, a fleeting glimpse into the life of Josie Duggar, one of the lesser-seen members of the famously large and closely knit Duggar family. The photograph itself seemed unassuming at first glance. Josie standing barefoot on the sand, her silhouette framed by the fiery hues of dusk. But for those who knew her story, this image carried layers of meaning far beyond its surface. Josie Duggar, born on December 10, 2009, had always been something of an enigma within the public eye. As the youngest child of Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar, she grew up under the spotlight thanks to her family's reality TV show, 19 Kids and Counting. Yet, despite being part of such a well-known clan, Josie managed to maintain an air of mystery about her. She wasn't often seen in front of the cameras or featured prominently in interviews. This made every appearance, or even mention, of her feel like a special occasion, as though catching a glimpse of a hidden treasure. This particular photo emerged during what appeared to be a private family reunion held on the beach. Such gatherings were not uncommon for the Duggars, whose values placed immense importance on staying connected with loved ones. However, these moments typically remained shielded from prying eyes, reserved only for close friends and relatives. So when word spread that someone had snapped a picture of Josie during this intimate event, curiosity naturally followed. In the photograph, Josie stood slightly apart from the rest of the group, gazing out toward the ocean. Her posture suggested both ease and contemplation, as if she were lost in thought while still very much present in the moment. A soft breeze played with strands of her blonde hair, which shimmered faintly in the fading light. She wore simple attire, a flowing sundress adorned with delicate floral patterns, and held no accessories save for a small seashell clutched loosely in one hand. There was something profoundly serene about her expression, a quiet confidence that spoke volumes without uttering a single word. For longtime fans of the Duggar family, seeing Josie in such a candid setting felt like receiving a gift. Over the years, many had wondered how she navigated adolescence amidst the pressures of fame and familial expectations. Raised in a household deeply committed to faith and tradition, Josie undoubtedly faced unique challenges compared to other teenagers her age. While some might assume growing up in the limelight would make her crave attention, this photo hinted otherwise. Instead, it portrayed her as someone comfortable in her own skin, content to observe rather than seek center stage. One couldn't help but notice the juxtaposition between Josie's solitary figure and the bustling activity happening elsewhere along the shore. In the background, clusters of people could be seen laughing, building sandcastles, or playing games together. Children ran around chasing seagulls, while adults lounged on blankets sipping cool beverages. Despite all the joyous commotion surrounding her, Josie chose to stand alone, seemingly unfazed by the lively chaos nearby. Perhaps she found solace in solitude, using these stolen moments to recharge before rejoining the festivities later. Interestingly enough, Josie's choice to hold onto a seashell added another layer of symbolism to the scene. Shells have long been associated with memories and journeys, serving as tangible reminders of places visited or experiences shared. Could this tiny object represent a cherished memory for Josie? Or maybe it signified a personal goal or aspiration she hoped to achieve someday. Whatever the case may have been, the act of holding it so tenderly underscored her introspective nature. As news of the photo circulated online, reactions varied widely among viewers. Some expressed admiration for Josie's grace and poise, marveling at how effortlessly she commanded attention, even when trying not to. Others speculated about what thoughts occupied her mind during that moment, crafting elaborate narratives based on little more than speculation. Still, there were those who criticized the invasion of privacy, arguing that sharing images from such a personal gathering betrayed trust and crossed ethical boundaries. Regardless of differing opinions, one thing remained clear: this snapshot offered a rare opportunity to reflect on Josie's evolution as an individual separate from her famous last name. Growing up in a household where conformity often took precedence over individuality, carving out space for self-expression must have required considerable effort and courage. And yet here she was, embodying resilience and authenticity in equal measure. Beyond mere aesthetics, the photo also shed light on broader themes relevant to modern society. In today's hyper-connected world, where social media platforms encourage constant sharing and oversharing, maintaining a sense of privacy has become increasingly difficult. For public figures like the Duggars, finding balance between openness and seclusion poses additional complications. Each decision regarding what to reveal versus conceal carries weighty implications, influencing perceptions and shaping legacies. Josie's presence in this image served as a poignant reminder of the value inherent in preserving certain aspects of our lives solely for ourselves. By choosing to step back from the crowd and embrace solitude, even briefly, she demonstrated wisdom beyond her years. Rather than conforming to external pressures dictating how she should behave or appear, she followed her instincts and honored her needs. Moreover, the photograph highlighted the enduring power of familial bonds. Though each member of the Duggar clan possessed distinct personalities and interests, they consistently prioritized unity above all else. Whether celebrating milestones, weathering hardships, or simply enjoying leisurely afternoons together, their commitment to supporting one another never wavered. Seeing Josie surrounded by loved ones, albeit physically distant in this instance, reinforced the notion that belonging to a tight-knit community can provide strength and stability throughout life's ups and downs. Ultimately, the rarity of this photo lay not merely in its subject matter, but in the emotions it evoked and questions it raised. What does it mean to grow up in the public eye, while striving to protect your innermost self? How do we reconcile societal expectations with personal desires? Can true happiness coexist alongside relentless scrutiny? While definitive answers eluded us, contemplating these issues through the lens of Josie's experience proved enlightening. Her tranquil demeanor against the backdrop of crashing waves invited reflection on our own lives, on the choices we make, the connections we nurture, and the legacies we leave behind. And perhaps most importantly, this singular image reminded us all of the beauty found in embracing simplicity. Amidst swirling tides of change and uncertainty, sometimes the greatest treasures lie in moments of stillness, captured forever in photographs that transcend time. The Duggar family, known for their reality TV show *19 Kids and Counting*, has long been associated with the Institute in Basic Life Principles and its affiliated organizations. Founded by Bill Gothard, IBLP is a conservative Christian ministry that emphasizes strict adherence to biblical principles, often through rigorous training programs like the Advanced Training Institute. However, recent revelations brought to light in the documentary *Shiny Happy People, dismantling the cult of Bill Gothard have cast a shadow over these institutions, exposing allegations of spiritual abuse, misogyny, and authoritarian control. In this context, it becomes important to explore where each of the Duggar children stands regarding their relationship with IBLP after these unsettling disclosures. Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar, the parents' stance. Before delving into the individual stances of the Duggar kids, it's essential to consider the foundation laid by Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar. As devout followers of IBLP and ATI, they raised their 19 children under its doctrines, which include patriarchal family structures, courtship instead of dating, modesty rules, and an emphasis on homeschooling using ATI curriculum. While neither parent has publicly denounced IBLP outright following the release of *Shiny Happy People*, there are indications that some distance may be forming. For instance, Jim Bob no longer lists his affiliation with ATI on official websites or social media profiles. This subtle shift might suggest discomfort with the organization's controversial reputation, but falls short of a full repudiation. Josh Duggar. A complicated relationship. Josh Duggar, the eldest son, was once seen as a poster child for IBLP values, even serving as an ATI representative at one point. Given the gravity of his actions and the scrutiny surrounding him, Josh seems to have distanced himself from overt associations with IBLP. Yet, he remains entrenched in ultra-conservative circles, suggesting that while he may not openly endorse IBLP anymore, he hasn't entirely abandoned its core tenets either. His silence on the matter speaks volumes about his ambivalence. Jana Duggar. Faithful adherence. Jana, the eldest daughter, appears to remain steadfastly aligned with IBLP teachings. She continues to live at home with her parents and actively participates in church activities that align closely with IBLP ideologies. Unlike some of her siblings who have expressed reservations or sought independence, Jana seems unshaken by the controversies surrounding the organization. Her unwavering commitment likely stems from deeply ingrained beliefs instilled during her upbringing, making her one of the most loyal adherents among the Duggar children. John David Duggar. Quiet descent. John David, twin brother to Jana, presents a more nuanced picture. While he still identifies as a Christian and maintains traditional views on marriage and family, his engagement with IBLP appears less pronounced than in his youth. He married Abby Burnett, who shares similar religious convictions but does not appear to be as immersed in IBLP culture as the Duggars historically were. Their decision to move out of the family compound and establish their own household hints at a desire for autonomy, potentially signaling a quiet dissent from certain aspects of IBLP doctrine. Jill Dillard, breaking away. Jill Dillard represents perhaps the clearest break from IBLP within the Duggar family. Married to Derrick Dillard, she has openly criticized elements of her upbringing, including the restrictive environment fostered by ATI. On her YouTube channel, Jill discusses parenting philosophies that diverge significantly from those promoted by IBLP, advocating instead for a gentler, more progressive approach. Although she stops short of explicitly condemning the organization, her evolving perspectives reflect a growing dissonance with its rigid dogma. Jessa Seewald, straddling two worlds. Jessa Seewald occupies a middle ground between loyalty and rebellion. Married to Ben Seewald, she initially embraced many facets of IBLP, including homeschooling her children via ATI materials. However, recent developments indicate a softening stance. The couple has begun exploring alternative educational methods and expressing interest in broader evangelical communities outside the IBLP sphere. While Jessa hasn't completely severed ties, her willingness to question established norms suggests a gradual revaluation of her allegiances. Duggar Vuolo, embracing change. Duggar Vuolo stands out as another prominent figure charting a new path. After marrying Jeremy Vuolo, a former professional soccer player turned pastor, she embarked on a journey of self-discovery that led her away from IBLP orthodoxy. Through her podcast and memoir, Duggar candidly addresses the challenges of reconciling her past with her present aspirations. She advocates for greater freedom and flexibility in matters of faith and lifestyle, directly challenging the legalistic mindset perpetuated by IBLP. Her transformation underscores a decisive departure from the organization's influence. Joseph Duggar, maintaining tradition. Joseph, married to Kendra Caldwell, exemplifies continuity within the family. Like several of his siblings, he adheres to traditional gender roles and practices espoused by IBLP. There is little evidence to suggest significant deviation from the principles he grew up with, indicating that Joseph remains firmly rooted in the belief system propagated by the organization. His life choices, including career and family dynamics, mirror those expected of devout IBLP adherents. Other siblings, varied responses. The remaining Duggar children exhibit varying degrees of alignment with IBLP. Some, like Joy Anna Forsyth and her husband Austin, seem content operating within familiar frameworks, continuing to embrace the teachings of their youth. Others, such as Jedediah and Jeremiah, display signs of questioning or experimentation, though their public statements remain limited. Overall, the younger generation appears more open to exploring diverse interpretations of Christianity, reflecting shifting cultural attitudes toward authority and tradition. In the wake of Shiny Happy People and its damning portrayal of IBLP, the Duggar family finds itself at a crossroads. Each sibling navigates this complex terrain differently, shaped by personal experiences, marital influences, and evolving worldviews. From staunch defenders like Jana to outspoken critics like Jill and Duggar, the spectrum of responses highlights both the enduring allure and inherent contradictions of IBLP ideology. As time progresses, further realignments are inevitable, driven by ongoing dialogue, introspection, and societal change. Ultimately, the Duggars' collective reckoning with their shared heritage will serve as a microcosm of broader conversations about faith, power, and accountability in modern America.